Hello, hi there, hi sweet peas, hello again, whatever it happens to be. I wanted to go ahead and do this video for you because I got really excited when I saw on Facebook when I did the polls that people really wanted just to go back to basics when it came to tarot. And I got super excited because I know the basics really well. And I wanted to be able to figure out a way to make the group actually useful for you. I wanted to figure out a way to actually make the information productive. I wanted to figure out a way to make it engaging for you so that you actually have something that you gain out of this and not just content thrown at you all the time. So I look forward to engaging with you. I look forward to hearing your questions, on helping you figure something out, of digging into your personal stuff with you so that you can do it for yourself eventually. So I'm super excited to hop into basics with you. So the first thing that I wanted to go ahead and touch on is let's just go down the barrel. Let's just go to the beginning. What is tarot? Have you ever had a chance to actually think about that? What is tarot? So tarot, and the way, this is my interpretation, this is my understanding, this is my point of influence. So one thing that I will always say about tarot is that there's no one right way to tarot. So that even means me. This is just my point of view, my perspective, and I'm giving it freely. So please feel free to educate yourselves in other ways by reading, by consuming other content. I want you to get as much information when it comes to tarot as freaking possible. So when I say what is tarot, I mean what is this thing? What are these cards? What is this? What is this? So my understanding and my experience with tarot is that tarot is a system. It's a practice. It can be religious. It can also be fun and mundane. Tarot is a divinatory practice. It is also a psycho-spiritual tool. Tarot is also an element or a tool for fortune telling. It can also be something that is just widely freaking collectible and has a cool bunch of pictures on it. It's also a really nice method for self-reflection and self-help. And I should have done a tiny little bit of research on what the mental process is for when we see ourselves in everything that we encounter. So it's all the images that have been created around the tarot deck, there is an element that we see of ourselves in every image. And so as you pull cards, it kind of gives you a mirror to look at yourself, and then you can either just solely go off of the interpretation of that card to pull meaning, or you can use that card as a key to then unlock elements of your own intuition. So there's lots of ways of which tarot can be done, and tarot has meaning. And then what actual meaning it is just depends on your practice and your experience of it. So for me, that is what tarot is. To me, it's mostly paper for Nabby, it's paper. It's paper that I use to act as a visual aid in my intuition and in my spiritual practice. I find my cards to be special, but I don't find them to be sacred, because a lot of people have different practices with their cards, and none is right over the other. A lot of people throw them against the wall, play with them, do whatever. I modify tarot cards, so I'll cut off borders, I'll color them, I'll do things with them. Some people have them wrapped in pretty little cloths, have them stored in a special little box, and that is the ritual that makes them feel good about their set of cards. More power to everyone. There's no right way to do it. Whatever feels good to you, that's what you need to do. Whatever feels fuzzy. Sorry, I'm looking over here because I have notes. I'm trying to stay on target, and that always works well. Anywho, I wanted to make sure that I touch on what tarot is not, okay? And I feel like this is, again, my experience, okay? So when I say tarot is not, big thing, it's not evil, okay? It's paper. It's a psycho-spiritual tool. It's not innately evil. It's not dark. It's not mysterious and woozy. It's not... yeah, all of those superstitions that are around about tarot cards, it's not any of that in my experience, my humbling experience. I also find that tarot is not the end all. So it's like, just because you receive an interpretation, just because you receive a reading with this, with these cards, it does not mean your future is written in stone. So it's not the end all. It's not the end authority. It is a tool. It is a method. It is a mirror. It is a reflection on this moment in time. It then gives you the opportunity to change your mind. Who knew? It's also not some super secret service that you have to like be inundated into some club to understand. It's not that. I remember hearing how like some of the old mystery schools were trying to make tarot like both like exclusive and accessible at the same time, was how it was explained to me. And I'm just like, wait, why is it super accessible and secret all at the same time? Now, tarot cards in themselves aren't magic, but you can use them as a mode of magic, of a mode of manifestation, of a mode of like doing spell work. It's really, really useful for those things. So those are just a couple things that are really, really nice about your super amazing sets of cards. So I wanted to make sure that I touch on the types of tarot cards. So sometimes, especially newbies, aren't always aware that there's different types of tarot cards, but they are aware of, oh my god, there's a lot of tarot cards. So there's like a mixed bag. So the set of cards that I like to work with is called a Rider-Waite-Smith system, and it's RWS, like you'll see that everywhere. And it's just these cards imagery that you see all the time, or versions of this imagery. So like if, for instance, I have my Everyday Witch Tarot, which has this imagery, where's the camera, there we go, that has that imagery. If I pull the Nine of Cups out of this set, it will have something kind of similar. So it's just generally, that is the system that I like to work with, because that system is so prolifically used, and it is part of what a lot of books are based on. Now, there's also other systems like Thoth, Thoth, which is another tarot system. And I do have a Thoth deck in the house, and a couple Thoth-based decks. And again, it's just another imagery style, imagery system that is similar. Like they have elements that are really close to each other with the Rider-Waite and the Thoth, but they're not the same. Like if you've ever seen them side by side, you can see clearly they are not the same. Another one is the Marseille, and my understanding of the Marseille, and I don't own, I've sold a couple, but I don't own or work with a Marseille deck, is that it has wood carving images that are, you know, like it has the basic premise of like suits and court cards and major arcana and minor arcana, which I'll explain in a moment, that standard other tarot systems have, but the imagery is visually different. And they're more pip based instead of like imagery based through the minors, which I'll have to remember to jot down, and oops, there's my pen, jot down what a pip is. There's also other cards that are tarot based, but they have like their own little unique system that happens with them. I know one in particular, which I actually really like, is the Osho Zen tarot. And Osho Zen is not a system. Osho Zen is a set of cards that is loosely Rider-Waite based, and it has like some different interchanged placements of the cards. And so when I'm referring to these cards, what I'm talking about is that this deck of cards is 78-ish cards usually. Often there can be an extra card that is more deck specific. That will be the 79th card. Some cards also have other cards that are included. Like I have my El Goliath Tarot, which is somewhat Rider-Waite-Smith based, and it has added cards that are deck specific for this artist's recommendation. That artist wanted to do it, so they threw them in. And I will learn how to incorporate them into my practice. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, different cards. There's different cards. There is different cards. In addition, with all these different cards, I honestly lost my train of thought. I have no clue where I'm going with any of that now. Oh yeah, I was talking about what the cards are. Okay, so 78 cards is routine, right? 78 cards in a deck is routine. Sometimes there'll be 79. Sometimes there can be more. There will be more likely 78 cards per every deck that you receive. The cards are separated into a major arcana and a minor arcana. Arcana means secrets in the language in which that word is written in. I forget right offhand. I usually always know. But the suits, when you have the major arcana, that is a series of 22 cards that depict what is called or often referred to as the fool's journey. The fool being the reader or a person. Sorry, something just happened on my phone. One of these days it's gonna get right. Anywho, it's gonna be I keep getting distracted. Let me direct my wife off my screen. There we go. Where were we at? Let's pause for a second and then come back to this. Okay. So now that we're not completely distracted by everything, let me recap for just a quick second. So we had just mentioned a moment ago, I'm removing something off the screen. There you go. Just mentioned a moment ago that the tarot deck itself is separated into two main components, and it's the major arcana and the minor arcana. Arcana meaning secrets. So the major arcana is a series of 22 cards that is depicting the fool's journey from the beginning naive to the mastery or point of mastery through life, basically kind of like life experience. So it's really nice to look at the whole, like if you take your whole major arcana, spread it out on a table, this is kind of like what life looks like for most people. The other arcana, there we go. The other arcana is called the minor arcana, and the minor arcana is separated into 4 suits. The names of these suits may change depending on the type of deck that you have, but generally there's 4 suits, and it's a fire suit of some sort. There is a water suit of some sort. There is a like a sharp knife metal suit of some sort, and then like an earth-based pentacle or coin or something tangible based suit. So in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it is wands, it is cups, it is swords, it is pentacles. And I know some other suits that do them a little bit differently, or other cards that do them a little bit differently. Now each suit in themselves kind of have an energetic meaning to them. And they also have their own kind of pattern that they follow. So each suit goes from ace to 10, with its court cards being its page, its knight, its queen, and its king. And that can takes up the whole suit. What often a lot of people have a problem or have difficulty with is when it comes to understanding the court cards, so the people cards or the people looking cards of tarot. Sometimes we don't know if we're assigning like a personification to this card, or is it just an energy. So there's lots of books regarding that. Speaking of which, I may actually get one now that's on my mind. But that might be really, really useful to do additional research after you've kind of gotten a handle on the cards, so that you have a little bit more expanse knowledge, more information, more stuff to chew on with that. Let's see if is there anything else we need to touch on? I think that pretty much kind of like high level covered what is tarot. That just kind of gave you like the basic rundown of what these cards are and what we use them for. When it comes to understanding the meanings, use your guidebook or not. Like there's 2 rules of thought. Some people think like you need to know the meanings of the cards. A lot of people feel that way. There's other people who are in the camp of like, I only read intuitively. I've never opened a book in my life. Whatever works for you, hun bunch. I like to know the meanings of the cards, but I also like the cards to tell me their meaning. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, that's okay. We'll discuss it over time, because like this imagery has its own meaning to me. I can go to another deck And it can be similar, but it can have its own meaning to me. These two meanings, even if they are the same card, if for instance this was also the Fool and this is the Fool, but they can have kind of like two variation of meanings for me. It just depends as to what the question is, what I'm reading or what I'm digging into. But yeah, I hope that at least gave the high level overview as to what tarot is and what it's not, but also I'll figure out a way to explain a little bit more succinctly what the suits and the arcanas and what have you are. But anywho, I look forward to diving into tarot basics with you. And I'll start breaking open some of my old books so that we can like do it with maybe a little structure. Alrighty, you all. Mwah. Enjoy. Bye.